Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Pastcast. This is your daily dose of strange, surprising, and little-known moments from history. Every day, we uncover what happened on this day in history, but not the usual textbook stuff. Instead, we dive into the weird, obscure, and unbelievable facts that often get left out of the classroom. From forgotten inventions and bizarre battles to strange traditions and quirky anniversaries, you'll discover history's odd side one day at a time. If you love weird history facts, strange but true stories, and exploring the unusual events that shaped our world, this channel is for you. We'll have a new video every single day because history never takes a holiday. We'll try to make them short, fun, and fascinating so your curious mind can listen and then get on with your day. Subscribe to never miss a wild slice of the past, and if you like these videos, be sure to hit the like button. Now, let's get into it. September 3rd, 1925, the pride of the U.S. Navy, the mighty Airship Shenandoah, is gliding through the skies of Ohio. Sleek, massive, futuristic. This was supposed to be America's crown jewel of aviation. But within hours, it would be ripped apart mid-air by a storm, scattered wreckage across the entire farmland of the area. Entire sections of the supposedly indestructible craft would just land intact on people's property. And in true American fashion, at least one farmer immediately decided, hey, I could charge admission for this. This is the bizarre story of how the Navy's greatest experiment in air power literally fell apart, and how normal Ohioans turned it into the weirdest tourist attraction the state has ever seen. Part 1. The Rise of the Shenandoah. Built in 1923, the USS Shenandoah was the Navy's first rigid airship, modeled after the German Zeppelin designs captured after World War I. It was huge, over 680 feet long, taller than the Washington Monument if you stood it upright. It wasn't just an experiment, it was a publicity stunt. The Navy wanted to show Americans that airships could patrol coasts, scout enemies, maybe even replace battleships one day. And a fun fact, the Shenandoah was the first airship to be inflated with helium instead of hydrogen. Safer, at least in theory. The name Shenandoah was chosen from a Native American word meaning daughter of the stars. Well, that turned out to be slightly ironic, since it definitely didn't stay in the stars for very long. So this just wasn't a flying machine, it was a flying billboard for military funding. Let's move into part 2 now, the publicity tour. Instead of keeping the ship on training missions, the Navy ordered the Shenandoah on countrywide PR tours. Basically, take the blimp to the people. It would float over state fairs, festivals, parades, drawing huge crowds. For small towns in the 1920s, seeing a futuristic silver airship was like seeing a UFO. But the engineers were terrified. They warned that the Shenandoah wasn't built for rough weather. It had structural vulnerabilities, especially in violent thunderstorms. The commander himself, Lieutenant Commander Zachary Lansdowne, ironically an Ohio native, was against these tours. He preferred caution, but the Navy brass wanted the publicity. So naturally, what did they do? They flew the world's largest prototype helium balloon straight into the middle of tornado country during storm season. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Let's turn into part 3 now, and the crash. Early morning, September 3rd, 1925, the Shenandoah is flying over rural Ohio near a place called Noble County. Suddenly, it hits a line of violent thunderstorms. Winds slam the massive ship. The hull can't take the stress. Around 5:30 a.m., the airship literally breaks apart mid-flight. The control car, with the commander, plummets to the ground, killing Lansdowne and 13 others instantly. But here's the strange part. The wreckage didn't all crash. Huge trunks floated down almost gently. One entire section, the tail of it, descended like it had its own parachute, landing upright in a field. Another section came down with survivors still clinging to it. The ship broke into at least 3 major pieces, scattered across several farms. So imagine waking up in rural Ohio, walking outside, and finding a giant piece of the U.S. Navy's most advanced airship parked next to your barn. What happened afterwards? Let's turn to part 4 and the roadside attractions and weird aftermath. Curious crowds of locals immediately swarmed the crash sites. This was the 1920s, equivalent of a Reddit thread. Everyone wanted to see it. Farmers guarded the wreckage, and in one case, charged admission to view the debris. For a dime, you could gawk at the ruins of America's pride in the aviation. Some even sold souvenirs taken from the wreckage. The Navy was horrified. Officers tried to secure the wreckage, but it's hard to stop a determined Midwesterner with pliers and entrepreneurial spirit. Families picnicked around the remains. Photographers sold postcards of the crash sites. It turned the tragedy into a carnival. So basically, America's first doomed airship tour ended with a doomed airship turned into a tourist attraction. You can't make this up. So let's turn to part 5, the legacy and the lessons. The disaster made the Navy look reckless, using a fragile test ship for politics instead of safety. Lansdowne's widow even testified before Congress, saying her husband had warned against the PR tours. The Navy continued experimenting with the airships for a while. Akron, Macon, but most ended up crashing too. Airships never replaced battleships. The Shenandoah became a cautionary tale of hype versus reality in military tech, and how bad decisions can literally tear apart promising inventions. And yet, in its final act, the Shenandoah gave Americans something uniquely weird, a once-in-a-lifetime roadside attraction, proof that in the U.S., even a national tragedy can be turned into a nickel-and-dime tourist stop. So next time you hear about something overhyped, over-budget military project, remember the Shenandoah, a flying dream that met a stormy reality before becoming the weirdest county fair exhibit Ohio ever saw.